Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 293. We've got Editor-in-Chief Chris Hamilton from Street Trucks, and we're talking all things Mission 22, Sargent Square.
They were just excited to not only show their brand or show their charity to our audience and then to this amazing community that we all are a part of.
Damn, son. Hey guys, let me tell you about LMC Truck. Keeping generations on the road. Think about that. It's pretty deep. So whether your truck was handed down or something you went out and bought, odds are you were handed a bunch of paperwork, maybe a folder. In that folder was probably the catalog. You know the one, the most up-to-date and detailed catalog available today. It's like an encyclopedia for our trucks. Their website is just as detailed and informative. LMCtruck.com. LMCtruck.com. So whether you're restoring old memories or creating new ones, LMC Truck is here to help. They're more than just a parts company. They truly understand the lifestyle and passion of owning a classic truck. So get out there and get to work on your truck and know that LMC is here to help. You can get online, lmctruck.com, and order your free catalog today. Keeping generations on the road. lmctruck.com.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Toast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What's up, C10 Nation? Coming at you. I thought I'd get another one in before I go to the slowdown, and for everybody driving and attending shows all over the country, another pod. And the Mission 22 build is amazing. Sargent Square, what a great cause. If you haven't heard of the truck, you haven't heard who it's benefiting, then we're here to talk to you a little bit about it with Chris Hamilton, Editor-in-Chief of Street Truck. So always good catching up with him, everything that he's got going on. They debuted this truck last year at SEMA, and then he's got another build that he's working to get and done for SEMA 2024. So always a lot. Back it up here, 292 transmission talk with my buddy Jason Hallaby, local tranny guy from Choice Transmissions, right here in Gilbert, Arizona. Thought we'd get you a little tech on that one. Like I had mentioned earlier, we are headed out this weekend for the Slowdown. New for 2024, it is a 2-day event. They're sold out, so if you didn't get tickets, maybe come if you're in that area as, I guess, a spectator. We're looking forward to the weather in San Luis Obispo. I'm going to slaughter that. Tim, Blue Collar C10, he gave me a hard time this past weekend. We were at a little benefit thing. He was trying to get me to work on my enunciation for San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo. So I say the slow. That'll make it a little easier. So we're headed out to the slow this weekend. There's so many things going on, starting with the slowdown, and then after that, especially out here in the West Coast, there is no shortage of events. August 10th, you've got C10s on the Capitol. That's in Olympia, Washington. C10 Club Washington. Todd and Jen Manchester put that together. C10s on the Capitol, Olympia, Washington, August 10th. Then the next weekend in Idaho Falls, Devin, Ants, you've got the Snake River Truck Show. That is August 16th and 17th, a 2-day show. Then September. First weekend in September, you've got the Intervention. That's going to be Labor Day weekend. That's in Woodland, California. Then you want to go out to the Triple Crown. That's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the second year for the Triple Crown. I was able to make it out last year, their debut event, and it was a humdinger for sure. A lot of high-end builds. You get a little bit of cars, muscle, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and of course, trucks were very well represented. Then back here, Pomona, California, the second Grand National Truck Show. That's put on by the folks that put on the Grand National Roadster Show. And they're putting on their second Grand National Truck Show. That's going to be the following weekend. And then the fourth weekend, you got C10s in the park, Waxahachie, Texas. Terry and the crew out there. So a lot going on coming up over the next 2 months. I hope you're getting out. I hope you're having fun. Hoping you're getting some windshield time in your classic truck. And hopefully you got some C10 talk jamming out, whether you're working, wrenching, in the shop, on the way to work, in the gym, or maybe just driving your classic. We do appreciate it. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, RONNIE at Truck Talk Media. And until next time, have a great week. Late. What up, C10 Nation coming at you. I've got Chris Hamilton. He's the editor-in-chief and all things Street Trucks Magazine, Engaged Media, a lot going on. It's always good to catch up with Chris. We don't know where Nicole is. She's a way better half of, they're the power couple of Street Trucks, but we're going to talk about Sargent Square. Welcome to the pod. No stranger, not your first time. We appreciate you coming back and checking in with us, Chris.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the support. Glad to be back. Excited to talk about this truck.
Yeah, what a cool story. So, just jump in. How did you guys get involved with this thing?
Well, our brands have been around for a long time. We have a lot of really good brands, and we wanted to do something a little different, something a little unique, use our brand power to do something good. And we have a bunch of good friends in the industry, including Chris Stafford with Stafford's Garage. If you know those guys, I'm sure you do. I was talking with him one day and told him that we want to do something kind of cool. And he was talking about a military project. And, we've all seen different kind of military charity builds, whether it's you build a truck that's themed and you sell it or give it to a charity, or you build a nice truck and you give it to a veteran, which are all really great, really cool causes. We wanted to do something a little bit different. We just wanted to work with all the companies that advertise with us or support us or are just in the industry, really, and build the ultimate square body, the one truck that anybody and everybody would love to look at, love to drive, and then sell that truck, raise as much money as we could, and just give that money, all the proceeds, to this amazing charity. So I worked with Chris. We came up with some good ideas, and he spit out this name called Mission 22. And I feel like at the time, I felt like I had heard that name before, but after digging and doing some research, the thing that made this organization really popular, and you might remember, but there was a 22 push-up challenge that was real popular a few years back, and they would do 22 push-ups, and then you would stand up, and then you would challenge somebody else to do it on social media, and it just kind of spread around like wildfire, and that's kind of how they grew and got their popularity. So I was like, oh, that's cool. They have kind of a cool viral thing behind it. But then when I really dig into that charity and kind of see exactly what they're doing, it's kind of impactful. So Mission 22, yes, the 22 push-up challenge is cool, but in all reality, the 22 comes from the fact that on average, every day between active and non-active service members, there's 22 suicides every single day, which is so unfortunate, and it's such a gnarly number to read. So when we heard about that, Chris Stafford said it's a really good auction or charity. We reached out to them, communicated with them, told them that we'd love to do something with them. They were really excited about it, and that's kind of how it went on. We made a partnership agreement, and Chris Stafford helped us create a rendering, and we ran with it.
Yeah, and Chris, absolutely a great guy. Obviously, what he does and what he represents as a military man himself, Stafford's Garage, CK Syndicate, the guy, I don't know when he sleeps because he gets it done. He gets SEMA builds done, and it's good to have him in your corner. And then at the end of the day, you're bringing something that is, like a little bit of a cloud over society with military PTSD. Obviously, myself as a first responder, we get a lot of PTSD training and try to get some awareness. And then, like you said, the people are struggling, and you bring it to light. You work with a great charity. How's that been working with them? Did you give them some input? Did you say, hey, what's a theme? What do you want to do? Break that down for us.
Yeah, we really reached out to them, and we just essentially told them that we want to work with our companies. We created a rendering, and we just want to build a really cool truck. And then we're going to work with a lot of these companies and see how many parts we can get donated for it, and how many different companies we can get involved to, whether it's labor or product or whatever. And then at the end of the day, after the truck's fully built, whatever we end up selling this for, all the proceeds would go to them. And but we really weren't looking for any kind of direction or thought behind it, and they really weren't really interested in giving it to us. They were just excited to not only show their brand or show their charity to our audience and then to this amazing community that we all are a part of. They just really like to be part of it. They're a really good company. They do a lot of events around the country, and they just like being part of something cool. So they made an agreement with us, and we were real happy about it. They basically just stood back and said, anything you guys need from us, we'll share it. You can use our logos and our likeness on anything that you want. And then they sent us these really cool metal circular badges, almost like a coin, a few of those to kind of incorporate into the truck. We didn't really want to do too much like names or themes or anything like that, but these coins we ended up, I'll kind of talk about that in a little bit, but we ended up incorporating those into the build in some very unique spots, and it worked out really well. So at the end of the day, the truck was completed, and there was a very slight hint of Mission 22 involved in the truck, but it really came down to just attaching them with it and exposing their fight for what they're fighting for to our audience, which we were happy to do, you know.
Well, and another thing that's so good is people enjoy a themed truck. So why not make a themed truck for those that are, laying their life on the line, that serve our country, and bringing that all together. And then again, working with your sponsors, working with the people that are behind all of the print who, we're buying their products. It's good for them. It's good for Mission 22. It's good for Street Engage Media. And you can pick up the latest magazine. It's on the cover of the August 24 issue. Full feature. It's in there. And it was at SEMA last year. And overall, I feel like the response has been great on your social media, at SEMA, in print. I feel like it's kind of been probably one of the better builds that you guys have gotten behind, because I know magazines, and you and Nicole, and you guys are always working on something. There's a new truck, a new project. You got Project Rocky coming up. But this is probably almost like a home run, really, if you think about putting everything together the way that you guys did.
Yep, I completely agree. And the support that we got from our community, from the brands in our community, was just unbelievable. We were originally expecting to just take this truck that we got donated from Dewey Daughtry, if you know him. Really cool guy. He's got this crazy old International that's on a 3500 chassis. But it's a really cool truck, and he donated this standard cab short bed, all rusted out Squarebody. And we were originally just going to take the truck apart, clean the frame up really good, powder coat the frame, put all new body panels on it, bolt on a QA1 suspension, and make a nice clean truck. But right when we started announcing this and talking to these companies, we got the opportunities to build like basically the ultimate truck, all American chassis. If you know those guys, they jumped on this project. They were so excited about it. They donated this whole entire chassis for this truck, which is just crazy. I mean, chassis are not cheap, and for them to donate a full chassis. And then LMC Truck, they were one of our best companies that wanted to get on board with this. They every exterior body panel is brand new on this truck, from the other than the cab, obviously, but from the bed to the doors to the front end, everything is all brand new. And so we were able to get basically all new sheet metal, all new chassis. We were going to do the bolt-on QA1 crossmember setup on a factory chassis, but with this new suspension, this new chassis, we decided one of the decisions we had to make was, are we going to do a airbag chassis or a coilover chassis? And the thought behind this was, since we're going to be building basically the ultimate truck and trying to sell it, who knows technically who's going to buy it? We want to build a truck that you could jump into, turn the key, and just haul ass. You know what I mean? We want to do some burnouts or something like that. We don't want to sit there and mess around with airbags, although we love airbags, but it's not relatable, and it's not just anybody can jump in to get into it. So we went with QA1 coilovers on this all-American chassis. put the whole truck together that way. And we did get a lot of companies involved, which I'd like to go through a lot of the companies that were involved that donated product. But at the same time, Engage Media, this was a big take on for them.
What's funny is when you think about it's, I assume the audience is sitting back saying, hey, yeah, you're the editor of, Street or C10 Builder's Guide, or, obviously you guys are Motortopia. You guys have so many different entities, from the EV to the Fords to everything that we have going on, but it's still reaching out to all these people. I assume that's a lot of work. I know you have Nicole that helps out, but then I wonder, at what point did you ever get to the point where you get 4 or 5 different people on board, and then the word is out on Sergeant Square, and then companies are actually calling you and saying, hey, I want to be involved. Fessler, hey, I specialize on interior for, those 2nd gen style squares. What can I do? So then before you know it, you're almost like, shit, I almost have to turn people down because I can't have 3 AC systems. I've got to really narrow it down, and you try not to hurt anybody's feelings, but what a great problem to have. But it's still a general contractor. You're still managing the build.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And, one thing always leads to another. Like with the chassis, we ended up having to have a lot more labor involved with it because we had to modify the bed and we had to do a lot of other things to make it fit this chassis. But like you said, when we start talking about this project and the charity that it's for, we got a lot of people involved. But then when you announce that you're having a vehicle at SEMA in your booth, and we have an amazing booth location at SEMA on Hot Rod Alley, we have this really great booth location. So that even adds more fuel to the fire that a lot of companies, especially Fessler, that's one of the things that he was real excited about, because he just came out with a few new products specifically for these square bodies, including the headliner that's got 0 trim around it. It's just a flush headliner that's amazing, and the flush mount glass that goes in the front, and even the dash, all fiberglass dash, and it's real unique. It's got billet AC bezels on it. His door panels are so super smooth, and got billet door handles and billet pulls on them. And then the seat, obviously, it's an all custom built seat from him. So he wanted to be able to show off all of his product and still be a part of the charity. So now he gets to be part of this great, amazing cause for the military, but also be on full display at SEMA at an amazing location. So yeah, there's, multiple different things that got a lot of guys excited.
Yeah. And you guys wrapped it all up. It was at SEMA. It was in the Engage Media Motortopia booth. It received a lot of love, not only there, and you guys are right. He's right for the audience. They have a great location right by a door. So when you walk in, it's like, boom, there's their booth, there's their tables, there's their print, there's their magazine. And you get to hang out with all the staff and talk to everybody from Devin to Nicole to Chris to everybody. Mike's running around all the time. And it's a busy time. It's a busy week. But again, you guys really just nailed it out of the park. My favorite thing is obviously the flag on the hood. Talk us through the paint scheme and who came up with that, and who'd you work with designing all that?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, Chris Stafford did the whole design of the colors, the flag on the hood, and even the Sergeant Square that's on the rear bed, which the flag on the hood and the Sergeant Square kind of logo that's on the rear bed, those are both decals. We were originally going to paint them, but we just, you never know. Somebody that buys the truck may really like the look, but they might want to pull it off. So we teamed up actually with PPG, and they were the ones that supplied all of the paint for the truck. And after we got all the body panels mounted, we spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting all the body panels lined up perfectly. The body seams are perfect. The bed's even kind of pushed in a little bit. So once the body was perfect and the cab was basically rebuilt, we laid down all PPG paint based on Chris Stafford's kind of design. And then we put the flag hood decal on it and the Sergeant Square logo on the back. And dude, believe it or not, at SEMA, we got more compliments on that flag on the hood. It was crazy. So many people taking photos of it. We were like, man, somebody should start selling these things. Like, it's such a cool thing. Everybody loved that distorted flag on the hood. So I really like the flag on the hood. We got a ton of comments. Even the guys from Salvage the Savage were real into that too. They made a cool video that talked a lot about the flag. And it actually, since it was kind of like a flat black, it was a flat black on a gloss black. It almost looked like it was painted on there. And but yeah, it was a decal, and I really liked the way it came out. But yeah, it's all out of the out of the head of Chris Stafford.
Well, and another thing that Chris did that is really cool is when you think about like a patriotic vehicle, you're gonna think more of a poppy color, right? And I don't know that I'm not in Chris's head on this. I've obviously interviewed him a few times. Great dude, friend of the show. Love everything that he does. He's such a versatile talent. But when you think about Mission 22 and you think about again that cloud and you think about what's going on here, the color scheme that he picked is probably appropriate. And then the flag, it draws you in. It's something about that patriotic. It makes you, I'm ready, man. Rocky IV, whatever it takes, Red Dawn. And it just laid down really nice. And even the square on the back for the square bodies for you guys out there, you've got the Big 10, you've got the heavy half. It's such a good place for a logo or some type of wording, putting the square back there, giving it the stripes, the military perspective. It's not overdone. It's very tasteful. There's a lot of balance, and the truck as anybody would want this truck. Anybody.
I agree. There was a couple of tricky things because we wanted to get as close to the rendering as we could. And the more we dug into it, we realized that it's going to be tricky because, like, if you look at the front end of the truck straight on, it's all black. And it looks cool, and it looks like, oh, that's simple, just paint everything black. But there's a lot more to it than that. We had to powder coat the radiator support, and then the headlight bezels around our Dapper headlights, which are really cool headlights. We had to powder coat all that and then paint the front grille like a flat black where everything else was gloss black. And then we started to assemble everything. And then we could notice that the radiator was kind of silver back there a little bit. And then our vintage air, we got the the new Gen 5 vintage air system in it. And the front condenser, I believe it is, that's sitting at the radiator right there. It's got like a silver strap that goes around it. And it's got a couple little silver fittings that go on it. So when we were sitting back and looking at it after it's assembled, we're like, we just can't let these little silver things pop. So we took it all back apart and we had to powder coat and paint a bunch of little things. So now when you look at the front of the truck, it's all black. Everything is all black. And there's a lot extra steps in the mile, I guess you could say, to have to do things like that. But yeah, we wanted to just base it right off of the rendering, and it came out spectacular. And if you do look at the back of it, how you were talking about the tailgate, it says we have a different model tailgate. The truck's an 85, but the tailgate on it actually says Chevrolet across it with the embossed letters, and we had those letters painted black. So it kind of even gives it a little more flavor to it. And that was all from the rendering. So as we moved forward, trying to go directly onto the rendering, we realized that it took a few extra steps to get there, but it was worth it.
Well, and it always will. And there's always going to be little challenges. And at the time that might not be fun and feel fun. And if you're up against the clock, but when you look back, it's those challenges that make it that much better. It make it more memorable. And, just a lot of little subtle things, from the flag to the dryer being painted, the little bracket for the audience that goes around the dryer that goes over to the condenser, and all that stuff's different colors. And you're like, well, shit, now we got to paint all this. We got to make sure this looks this way. I feel like the interior really pops as well. The balance that you have there with the colors, the plaid, the gauges, the Spark steering wheel, and then really that Fessler dash with the AC vent and that Mission 22 sitting right there, just like Chevrolet would have wanted back in 85 or 76, putting that emblem right where it needs to be, right in your face. It's not overdone. It's not gaudy. It's very, very classy.
Yep. That's all Fessler, man. It's crazy because we sent him, he asked if we had anything that said Mission 22. And I'm like, actually, they gave us these round little metal badges. And he's like, send them to me. So he sent them 4 of them. And I didn't have a single influence on that interior at all. He just built it all, added the emblem on the dash next to the AC piece at the bottom of both door panels and dead in the center of the seat, which it ended up being so subtle yet so impactful at the same time, to where even if you wanted to buy the truck and not be themey, it's not too much. It's really not. It just gives it a little kind of a cool little thing. Technically, I mean, it could really be almost like his logo technically, but it's a Mission 22 logo. So it came out good. And then we got the Spark steering wheel. And if you could look real tight at the steering wheel, it's wrapped in black leather, but he also put the little spots of the plaid on the steering wheel also. And then, yeah, the entire dash, every part of the dash is all brand new. All that stuff came from Classic Industries. All the interior panels, all brand new stuff. All the dash is all brand new. The gauges are from New Vintage USA. And, but all like the headlight switches and the dash bezel and just basically all the little teeny screws and parts and everything that you need to put this whole thing together, AC vents, all that kind of stuff was from Classic Industries. But when you open the cab and get inside the cab, literally every single part and piece is brand new. And it's spectacular on the inside of it. I got to admit, like, I wish I built this truck for myself. But
yeah, I think you've got the I did it column, the Spark steering wheel. I do like to on the difference for the dash. So I prefer, 73 to 80 in the squares, but on the 81 to 86, 87 ish, a 91 if you're going Blazers and Tahoes or Blazers and Bourbons and everything else. But that bigger dash, and then the way that he did that stitch on that dash, it gives you that kind of King Ranchy, modern style dash in an OG truck that's, older theory than 40, 50 years old. And that's what's so nice about our trucks. You get the metal, but you're getting all new upgraded suspension, all new power, and then you sit inside and you've got the new Gen 5 AC, the new vintage gauges. I mean, it all comes together and you're like, I want to drive this thing across country right now.
Yeah, man. And like you shut the doors and they shut so smooth. They're actually auto metal direct doors and they fit so well. But the seals, we have all new seals from Precision Replacement. The wing windows, our wing windows in this truck aren't factory. They weren't rebuilt. They are the new Precision Replacement reproduction wing windows. And so it's like a brand new wing window. And then we have new Relics power window kit in there, and the power window switches are in the ashtray. So there's no switches on the doors. You open the ashtray, the power switches are right there. And these new Relic power window motors are unbelievable. They open and close solid. But yeah, you close that door on those Precision Replacement seals, and then everything's brand new. It smells brand new. Like, this is a brand new truck from top to bottom. It's super smooth.
Okay, what about your stereo system? I mean, thinking about the cab, that's where a lot of times you want to turn the radio down and listen to that motor and listen to that exhaust, but you're going on a long trip, you want to jam out. What'd you guys do there?
So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Damn, son, the choice is obvious. VintageAir.com.
Classic Performance Products, CPP back. Joe, let's talk X10 spindles. Go.
One of our most popular parts through the years has been our 2.5-inch drop modular spindles. Really popular part. Well, we've kind of taken that to the next step. We've emulated late model Corvette, Silverado, Chevy technology into our new X10 drop spindles. They use a steel hub, sealed bearing hub, really strong piece. It's oversized bearings, definitely great for a guy using big brakes, big wheels, which I'm sure all your guys are.
You need a new spindle anyways. You're going to lower your truck. You're running a bigger wheel, a bigger brake. CPP's got it for you with their new X10 spindle. Joe, as always, thank you. CPP, ClassicPerform.com. It's ClassicPerform.com. Sniper 2. Are you ready to switch out that old carb for a modern EFI system? Well, Holley has a solution for you. The all-new Sniper 2. This new system was redesigned from the ground up. Available in tumbled polished or black powder coat, and there's 3 available tuning interfaces. A classic 3.5 handheld, a 5-inch mountable, which includes a GPS speedo or a Bluetooth module so you can use your smartphone. Another big bonus is the Sniper 2 has a built-in transmission control module. So if you're looking to upgrade to a 4-speed overdrive 4L60, 4L80, you now can with ease. Holley.com to get started today. Holley.com.
Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. All parts are manufactured in-house in Oklahoma City, USA. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bedwood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com.
Okay, what about your stereo system? I mean, thinking about the cab, that's where we're gonna. A lot of times you want to turn the radio down and listen to that motor and listen to that exhaust. But you're going on a long trip, you want to jam out. What'd you guys do there?
Well, kind of like what you said, our stereo system consists of a 6.2 liter LS from Scoggin Dickey and a MagnaFlow exhaust. We don't have an audio system in it at all. And the main reason we did that is because since we are selling the truck, audio systems are everybody has their own taste in audio, and the truck just sounds so good. And also along with that, with Fessler's kick panels, they require the real short flush mount speakers. And then our dash was welded up where the head unit comes through. So it's either you got to choose like a retro style radio that's got the knobs or cut it out for a single din. So we just didn't take that step. We built the truck fully and we just didn't put audio. It's all pre-wired for audio. The entire truck's been completely rewired with painless performance. The entire engine drivetrain's been rewired by Current Performance. But and we rewired the whole audio system and it's all ready to go. We didn't decide to choose anything on there, and we just didn't make that call.
No, I think that's not. It's funny because when these trucks have different variances in their life, and at points you want, I want the stock radio. Now the big thing is I want a delete, right? So that you can only have in this truck, you can have that cleanliness, but then have your own Bluetooth, set up a head unit somewhere. It can all be hidden. You might need a volume control or a bass control, but everybody makes that now. Kicker makes a sweet setup. You can manage it how you want to manage it and come in, and you've got the kicks already there. Some guys go crazy. They've got kicks on kicks with tweets and 6x9s and 12s, and it can get pretty crazy. So you're right. You're like, hey, if you buy this truck, if this truck becomes yours, then you can make it what you want it to be.
Yep, absolutely. And more than likely, the person that buys this truck is going to have their own audio guy, and they're going to just tell them to do exactly what they're looking for. People have a lot of brand love in audio. And so we're just going to go that route. But man, the way that the motor sounds, to be honest, I could listen to that motor all day, dude. It sounds so good. The MagnaFlow sounds good. And it's a 0 mile 6.2. So, and it sounds deep. Like I've got a 0 mile 5.3 in my SEMA truck this year. And we're about to fire it up next week. And I'm hoping that it sounds this good. But I just know from what I've talked to a lot of people, and from what they say, the 6.2s sound just like deeper and throatier than the 5.3s do, which makes sense. So I'm excited about that. But the last thing that we did in the cab that was kind of unique and the audience might be interested in is, since we have electronic, drive-by-wire style throttle body on this truck, we needed an electronic throttle pedal. So we have a CTSV pedal in there, and we went to go mount it, and obviously the mounting locations aren't the same. So we've connected with this company, Liquid Creations, if you've heard of them. And they make a direct bolt-in bracket that bolts into your firewall, and this pedal bolts directly to the bracket. It took literally 10 minutes to bolt in, plug in the wire, and now we've got electronic drive-by-wire throttle pedal. So that worked out amazingly smooth. We were excited.
Well, and at the end of the day, those type of things are what's so cool about our really our industry, right? And he's in the Chino Valley, Prescott area of Phoenix, so or Arizona. So yeah, we get to see him a few times around the year, and it's pretty cool when you think about everything that the industry does, and it's one of those things where there's things that you take on and you might not realize, and some headaches, and then there's going to be solutions, and you're going to work with those people and with the expertise of all the different vendors that you have, with Chris behind you, with Stafford behind you, obviously you and your team. The truck really came together. What you also, one thing you did, I don't know if you mentioned, but when you think about that radio and that 6.2, you also got those Headman headers. So you've got a few different things putting out. Obviously, if it's a Scoggin Dickey's motor 6.2 with Headman, you're going through. I mean, it's audio on top of audio.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds so good. I've used Headman on a lot of my projects, and the coating that's on them, there doesn't, not a drop of smoke or not a ounce of smoke comes off of those headers the first time you fire them up, if they're coated correctly, which they are. They send them to you and you make sure that they fit, and then you send them back and they coat them, and then you install them. And then we have dual MagnaFlows that we had installed locally, and they kind of sit up like vertically down the truck, and then it just dumps right before the axle, dumps straight down. And yeah, that combination, man, I haven't heard a smoother combination than that before. And we've got a lot of cool tricks on that engine too. If you open up the engine bay and you look into it, we got slosh tubs in there because we had to raise the tubs up a little bit because the truck is pretty hammered. And then we even have the slosh fender fillers that go between the tub and the top of the fender. It's got a little bit of an embossed on it. And so it's real clean. And then the firewall's been all shaved smooth. So you just see this big 6.2 just sitting there with these Headman headers on it. And then we've got the Vintage Air front runner pulley kit on the front of it, and it's all black also. And then we got a Borgson steering connectors hooked up, big Willwood brakes sitting there. And then we even have a low car transmission dipstick. So just everything looks so nice, so clean. Under the engine bay, it's crazy that we put a massive, it's a massive 6.2, but I guess technically if you look at the old 454s and stuff, it's not really that massive, but still, it's a big old motor sitting in there, and there's still a ton of space, and it's really clean and real simple in there. It looks like even if you weren't somebody that works on motors or is familiar with wrenching, essentially, it looks like you can get in there and, mess around with it and make some adjustments.
The Mac media guys did a good job, or Mock Media. This is a hard truck to shoot because there's so much black there, and getting all those colors. And when you talk about that motor and that engine bay and that engine compartment, you've got the slosh fillers, you've got all the Willwood, the master cylinder. There's a lot of dark colors in there to really get that shot right, and it does look really good. The Vintage Air front system looks killer because you do get the contrast with the shades in that. And then another thing that really pops is that Mission 22 badge right up by the master cylinder. It's just one more subtle little thing where it's not too much, it's not gaudy, it's right there, and it's just classy.
Yep. That's actually mounted in the factory holes of the windshield wiper motor. And I'm sort of old school. I've been building a lot of trucks, lowriders, all these kind of things from when I was 16 to now. And one of the first things we used to do back in the day was always remove the windshield wipers and shave the cowl. We would always do that. So that was kind of the thought that I had with this truck, is when I look at a truck, I want to see it smooth. I don't want to see windshield wipers. I don't even technically, and I know you need them, but side view mirrors I like to get rid of a lot of the times, and headrests. Just see the whole truck nice and smooth. So the thought behind this was, let's get rid of the windshield wipers. And then we were going to shave that firewall and then shave the cowl on it. But then I was, again, thinking about, who's going to buy the truck, what they're going to do with it, what their thoughts are going to be behind it. And I'm like, if somebody buys the truck and they want to drive it and they're not, so much used to driving around custom trucks or, hot rods or whatever, they may want windshield wipers. They may not be the Rain-X kind of guys like I am a lot of times. So we didn't end up shaving the cowl, and we made that Mission 22 plate, which is a 2-piece plate. The back side of it's polished, the front side of it's powder coated. So yeah, it just sits there right where the factory windshield wiper motor gets mounted. So, but now if you do want to put your motor back in, you just unscrew that, slip in the motor, plug in the wires, and then hook up the windshield wipers. And then now you got windshield wipers. So it started off, or it ended up being a cover essentially that we put there and branded. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because Windshield wipers it does look clean without it. That's probably, too bad somebody doesn't come up with some sort of like backside motor that you could run that. But when you need them, you need them. And when you're going, eastbound and down and you're running over to Texas and it's raining on you and you've got the Rain-X, it works okay. But when you really need wipers, I've done it where my passenger doesn't have a wiper and only I have a wiper because I don't want both wipers. And on Squarebodies, it's even harder because the way that hood scoops all the way up, those wipers are kind of underneath there. And you're like, well, do I pull those right now? Do I leave them? Do I leave the output shaft for a wiper? You guys thought of it. You went with the all-American theme here when I think about a wheel for a C10, and it's the US Mags Rambler 10 spoke. Hard to beat that. You're never going to lose with a good Rambler on there. And then you guys gave it that black pop. It looks really good.
Yeah, man. And that was the craziest thing because we were trying to build this all off of Stafford's rendering. And when we got down to choosing wheels, we're like, all right, I guess we're going to have to get some wheels built for this thing. That's going to be pricey. And no one's going to be into fully supplying a set of custom built wheels. So I start flipping through all the different wheel magazines, and I don't know how I came across it, but this US Mag wheel was dead on of Chris's rendering. I don't know if he saw that wheel and used that for the rendering or what, but it's a stagger fit 22-inch US Mag wheel directly off the shelf. We bolted on, although the one thing that we did find out, which I don't think it's a big deal, but some people might, and I've heard, positive and negatives to it, but the chassis is a bit more narrow than a factory chassis is. So when we bolted the wheels on, they were about an inch, sucked in too much. So we did have to put a 1-inch wheel spacer on the wheels. And I personally don't see any problems with it. They're a multi-piece, they're a bolt-on wheel spacer. So the wheel spacer bolts onto the hub, and then the wheels bolts onto the spacer. So, and they're billet spacers. But I know I've heard a lot of bad things out there, and a lot of people that don't like spacers and stuff. But they seem to work out really fine for us, and I don't have any concerns with it. But I love those wheels, though.
Well, my first thought is if the chassis is narrower, but the rear end, did you guys use a different rear end, or because that should have been the same width?
Yeah, we ended up going with a 4 9-inch rear end from Speedway. We had to cut it down, so we cut it down and cut the axle shafts and put it all in. And so the rear is actually perfect. It was the front end actually that was a little too narrow. And what I was thinking was technically we probably could have gotten rear wheels all the way around, potentially. But I don't know if the offset would have been right. And I think the width was a little weird with the front wheel gaps. So we ended up just, going with a 1-inch wheel spacer on the front. But I mean, with the way that it sits now, if you look down the side of the truck, they sit beautiful. Now we could do full 360 or full U-turns without any touching, any rubbing. And it's hammered too. It's low.
Yeah, and whether or not the right back spacing and whether that could be adjusted. There is some lip on that front wheel and there's lip on the back wheel. So some people like a little more lip, some people don't. To each his own. They can adjust it as is and figure it out. One of the things that's so cool that you guys did, again, tastefully, is you really had that bed cover, and not only having a tonneau cover, give it that old school style, you have all those companies that you printed out on there, and that adds to that whole dedication of the Mission Square, of the Mission 22, and knowing that this is a raffle charity style truck.
Yep, absolutely. That thing is cool. If you haven't seen that, it's an all aluminum flat flush mount bed tonneau cover from a company called Pros Pick. And this thing is motorized. So it's got 2 big old motors on it. And the thing opens up really, really high, and it's all aluminum, but when it goes down, it sits flush. And we did a kind of a cool trick thing with that. We have the LS Fab gas door filler behind the taillight. So if you open up the gas door filler, we put the switch under there. So you open up the gas door, you hit the switch, and the motorized bed cover comes open. It's really cool. This is a new product from those guys, Pros Pick, and it's super, super smooth, fits in there, mounts in there perfectly. There's no cutting or welding or anything like that involved. But yeah, we have a couple other companies I'd like to just do a quick shout out for, if that's cool. Some of the bigger sponsors on this, we had Current Performance, like I said, with the engine wiring. Fessler USA, Nexen Tire. All the tires are from Nexen Tire. Vintage Air, we have that Gen 5 system in it. Classic Industries, they provided all the interior panels and everything for it. We had slosh tubs, like I mentioned. LMC Truck with all of those great exterior sheet metal parts. Naturally, the All-American chassis, a full chassis with the QA1 suspension on it. New Vintage USA, those digital gauges, really cool. And now they have a new plug-and-play unit for those things, so you don't have to individually wire them all up. Hot Rod Fuel Hose, the entire truck has been replumbed with all brand new LS Hot Rod Fuel Hose stuff. And they've got their PTFE hose and everything is super smooth. They've even got colors for it now, so it's neat. And then just kind of a quick thing on the specs of the truck. You know, it's an 85 C10. It's got a 6L80E transmission with the 6.2 liter. That's all the Chevy Connect and Cruise setup that we got from Scoggin Dickin. And then the Fessler flush mount glass painless wiring. We had that Pros Pick bed cover. The rear end came from Speedway Motors. So that's the 4 9-inch rear end. Fessler's interior, the PPG paint. Eddie Motorsports, we got their hood hinges, their door handles on there, all billet door handles. Those things are so nice. I have those on my personal truck too. Their door handles are so smooth. We did shave the drip moldings and roof seam seals, if you saw that. Also, we have a Boyd welding fuel tank in there. We want to make sure we had the best fuel tank in there to go with that fuel hose stuff. And then the last thing on our fenders, if you saw those, we have all billet fender badges that say Sergeant Square that came from Rad Machining, and those guys will build you any fender emblems that you want to say whatever you want. I got a set of Rocky ones that are going on my SEMA truck this year that are all custom built. So those are really cool. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to all these great companies that were involved. I mean, without them, I don't think this could have been possible, but they all teamed up. We all had lots of talks, lots of communications. They put time and effort and labor into it just like we did. So big shout out to those guys.
Well, and the cool thing about, like you said, the badges and Rad Machining doing that and the Sergeant Square fender emblems, it's so cool because it adds just, again, you're using almost like the GM font, and then you've got the badge on there, you've got the stripes for the Sergeant, and then he's still got the, you know, the Chevy style sunburst, and it all comes together and it gives it that theme, and it does it in a way that's very, very tasteful and just makes the truck, you know, something where you might walk by and you're like, oh, damn, look at that. You know, even the font, you catch it and you're like, oh, and with it saying Sergeant Square, you see that and you're thinking, oh man, I didn't even realize it. And then you start looking in and it really pops.
I agree. Yep. 100%.
All in all, the project came together. When does the project go up for sale? Hey guys, are you thinking about swapping out your old motor for a more reliable LSLT based power plant? Behind each PSI harness, you get over 10 years of experience in the business, online tech support, phone support, and harnesses made in the U.S. That's psiconversion.com. Hey guys, whether you're coming or going, UP Car Parts has you covered, or in this case, has you bumpered. They offer high-quality, premium, heavy stamp steel as original in either chrome or black paintable for the C10 Nation. They have all generations covered and ready to ship today. So when you think bumpers, think UP Car Parts. upcarparts.com.
Need C10 parts? Well, here at Pro, we actually have trucks. We build them, we drive them, and we deal with them every day. It's just part of who we are. We carry the best products for your truck project from the major name brands such as QA1, React, Painless, Dakota, Beltec, Borgeson, Bear, and even more. Give us a call or check us out on the web.
You've heard me talk about my gauges. Dakota Digital. I love them. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. It's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com.
All in all, the project came together. When does the project go up for sale?
So we actually, the original goal with this truck was to build the truck, take it to SEMA, and then take it directly to Scottsdale, Barrett Jackson afterwards. But unfortunately, when we got to SEMA, we didn't hit the mark. The truck wasn't fully done. We needed quite a few things still. The engine wasn't hooked up. The cooling system wasn't hooked up. So we didn't end up making the Scottsdale mark. And we were working back and forth with Barrett Jackson for a while. So we decided to bring it. We were going to bring it to the Palm Beach Barrett Jackson. And then, but from what Barrett Jackson tells us is they only allow a few charity builds per auction to go in because they take time off out of their auction and they really talk about the charity. And they already had their charity auctions picked for Palm Beach. So we basically had to think of a new idea with the auction. And while we were thinking about that, we got reached out to, believe it or not, by Bring a Trailer. And we've heard a lot of great things about them. They've actually had articles in the New York Times talking about them. So we've seen some really good things about them. So we decided to team up with them and put it on Bring a Trailer, which actually went on 4th of July. And it was there for 7 days, and we set our reserve. We were able to set a reserve with them, which is even, more amazing thing because we do have a little bit of money into this, but we wanted to make sure that we had a certain number that we can bring to this amazing charity. And so we were able to set a reserve and ended up going for 7 days. We ended up getting the highest bid ever for a 73 to 87. It went up to 88 grand, which was great, but it still wasn't where we want to be. We wanted this truck. You couldn't build this truck for anywhere near 88 grand. So we want to be able to sell the truck for the right amount of money to give this charity a solid figure. So now what we're going to do is we're regrouping. We're working with Mission 22. We're potentially going to bring it to a couple events. And then I think we're going to either go with a Mecum auction or possibly even with Haggerty. But as of right now, that's kind of where it's at. But the truck is fully done now. And it's ready to go. It's ready for someone to take it out and start ripping on it. So yeah.
What about giving it to Mission 22 to let them take it to their events, work on that, and let them drive it, let them, shake it down, put some miles on it, and really promote that truck? I got to think if it made it to 88, it's got to be close. You guys are looking for that 6 figures right there. And of course, going over 6 figures would be huge for that truck and that charity. Barrett Jackson does do a great job because they hype the shit out of it when they're doing it for the charity. And then people are always loving that right off. And with Mission 22 having a 501(c), it's a nonprofit. So that's a win-win for everybody. Is there a chance to get it back into like a Barrett out here in maybe not January of 25, but I guess, you wouldn't want to go January of 26. You're really pushing it. So any chance to get it back involved with one of those, or like you said, maybe a Mecum?
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, we just missed the Mecum that was in Kissimmee last weekend. And there were actually some C10s and even a Squarebody that went through there that went for some big numbers. And so we missed that one because we were currently on Bring a Trailer. But yeah, that's the goal, is to potentially maybe even Scottsdale this year, or one of the Mecums. Bad thing is the next few Mecums, there's one in California and then Indiana, and then I think there's a Texas one. So we're out of Florida, so that would be a bit of a haul to get it to these different auctions. But we're not completely against it at all, not at all.
All right. Well, we'll stay tuned. Please let us know, whatever we can do to help and push and promote it, because it is for such a good cause. The latest issue of Street is out. It's the August 2024 issue. I love this. It's 2017. You did the write-up on it, and Victor did the shot. It's kind of just got some crazy colors in here. Looks like it's a true LST style build. It looks like it's got a Texas plate in it. Always jam-packed. You got some mini trucks in here. I love this little S10. A lot of different show coverage. Looks like Scott Francis Blazer right there. That was out here at the reunion. I'm pretty sure that one is. This looks like, is this Camping? Oh, Relaxing in the Park. Show coverage, the latest, the greatest. How's everything going in print right now for you guys?
Oh man, actually we're doing really good. We've got a stack of brands that are all in print right now. I'll go through them real quick just so you guys know exactly what we're doing. Of course, Street Trucks. That's the big one. That's our long 25-year this year anniversary for Street Trucks. The brand new OBS Builder's Guide. This one is out on stands next week, and this is probably our highest quality magazine that we publish. It's crazy. This one is like a true art piece, and we've got some amazing trucks in here. If you know this truck on the front, this is owned by a guy named Scrape, and LSX powered OBS. Super, super cool truck. And man, that dude gets on it, which I love. The latest C10 Builder's Guide. You guys should all know this one and love this one. Amazing blazer on the front of it. Mike Alexander's my man on that one. He's our lead editor for C10 Builder's Guide. And then, we have Diesel World. If you guys know about Diesel World, we also have a Slam Squarebody on that one right now, diesel-powered Squarebody. And like you said, the Mach 1 Media guys, that's who's heading up that book right now. Tucker Harris, he's our editor now for Diesel World, and he's killing it. We have Drive magazine, which has a 6 C10 on the front of it. You might know this gold C10 called Golden Boy. Super cool truck. It was also featured in C10 Builder's Guide. And then we got a few of them that you guys probably aren't the biggest fans of, but they're still out there in publishing. We got EV Builder's Guide. That's actually got a sick electric powered wire wheel having C10 on it. It's actually a super cool truck owned by the guys at Legacy EV. And those guys are out near you, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Super cool guys. F-Series Builder Guide. I'm sure this is probably y'all's favorite.
But, that's Kyle's truck on the front. He was just on F100 Talk.
Oh, really? Yeah, nice.
Yep. Yeah.
That truck, if you dig into that truck, you'll be blown away by what they did to that truck. But if you guys know Devin Entz, he's our editor for F-Series Builder's Guide, also our editor for Tread Magazine. So he handles both of those books. All of those books are on stands nationwide. And so over the past year, I've taken what I've done over Street Trucks and C10 Builder's Guide and our editorial process, our content flow and all that, and just expanded it to all these books. So now I'm essentially editor-in-chief of all of the brands. And then we have our editor-at-larges of all these other brands. And we all work together as a team. And all of these books are doing really well. Subscriptions are doing great. Newsstand sales, everybody knows, newsstand sales are always diminishing. It's more, and I try to tell everybody, it's less about the demand. It's less about the audience. And it's more about the retail stores. They don't want magazines on their racks anymore. It seems old school. So, but if you go into like regular bookstores, you can find them all, but they're starting to dwindle down. Walmart's magazine racks are getting smaller. Supermarket magazine racks are getting smaller, but it doesn't seem like it's really affecting the demand on our audience side.
Well, ultimately, you just flash like 7 books, and 5 of them have C10s on the cover. So it's a great time. The Drive, the EV, obviously Street. I mean, everything's doing. Hell, the only 2 that don't are the Ford and the Tread, which. I mean, we probably aren't going to get a C10 on the Ford one, but we might. We should have told Devin we needed a C10 on the Tread because we would have had 6 out of the 7. But ultimately, it's a great time to be a C10 fanatic or a Chevy GMC truck fanatic between the Blazers, the Jimmys, the C10s, the K10s, everything else that's going on. And Engaged Media, Motortopia is really what's going on with that. That's kind of your big blanket company, right? I know Engaged is technically the magazines, but Motortopia is just everything motors and everything print and everything all wrapped up into one big thing.
Yep, exactly. It's the community. So each brand has its own outlet, whether it's print or digital or social. All of our brands have their own outlet. And then we've built Motortopia over the past year. And actually the app is out now on the App Store, but it's our community. So you can go to Motortopia and you can see all of the content from all of the brands. You can organize them per brand, but you can also upload your vehicle and share it with the community. You can add your event or see events that are coming around near you. You can actually log in and click interested in events, and it'll keep a running list of events you might be interested in that are around the country, or same with vehicles. You can, heart vehicles or like vehicles. But also we have over the past year and a half, we've been able to build the nation's largest online automotive-centric or automotive-specific press release location. Every day we do 3 new press releases on Motortopia that cover the entire automotive industry, whether it's off-roading, street, lifted, lowered, anything. So a lot of the industry brands or companies around the industry are really liking the fact that we're trying to make almost like a PR newswire, but specifically for automotive related stuff. And then the next the next step in this build, which we're hopefully going to be launching at SEMA this year, is going to be our marketplace. So we're going to have, basically a Facebook style marketplace, but there's also going to be stores that almost like an Etsy or a Pinterest style store, to where if you have a t-shirt company, or even if you have a wheel company, or like a liquid creations style of company where you make a few different products, you'll be able to create a store on Motortopia and go directly to the audience that's coming for, whether it's diesel or street or C10 or F series or any of these different audiences. And you'll be able to show your product directly to the readers. And the unique thing that we're seeing is, if somebody searches something on Google, like a C10 interior, and they jump to a C10 interior article on Motortopia, what they'll inevitably do after reading that article is they're going to click on the logo and go back to the homepage. And now the rest of our brands are going to quickly get exposure to this reader, or to this audience. So now we're seeing people come in for a C10, but then jumping all over, whether it's an off-road thing, or maybe they're even interested in possibly an electric thing. Conversion. EV Builder's Guide is really a conversion book. I take out an engine, put in a motor. So that's kind of what Motortopia is. It's a community to where it's all automotive, all community, everything all in one spot. And the app is launched as this week, actually.
Awesome. So just go on to the app and go to Motortopia.
Yep, Motortopia. That's it.
How do you find time, for you specifically? I know, again, I referred to Nicole, your amazing wife. You guys are a little bit of a power couple from that perspective. How do you find time to manage all that? When you think about all the books, you're overseeing all the different editors at large. You are the main editor. How do you manage that and keep it all organized and together?
Well, I've been asked that before, and it's kind of hard to answer other than just saying it's my passion. I've been playing with cars and wrenching on my 86 Chevy S10 when I was 15 years old. And I don't know, I've just always had a love for automotive, and I was raised at the height of automotive magazines, and I was reading every magazine all the time, and I always thought it would be so sick to be part of this. So now being able to be influential in the magazine space, it's what I wake up, it's what I think about, and then it's what I do all day, and it's just, we go to bed, and we find time, Nicole and I find time to have our personal time and our anniversaries and all that stuff. But in all reality, and I'm sure a lot of listeners can agree, that if a husband and a wife that are automotive people, they think, what are we going to do this weekend? You could do a lot of different things, from going to movies or baseball games, or doing little local fairs or whatever somewhere. But in all reality, what you really want to do is go to a car show and hang out and look at cars and talk to your car buddies. So to be able to do that on the weekends, but then build these brands during the week, I don't know. It's my passion, and it comes secondhand, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was trying to think back, and you guys do a great job. I don't know how you keep it all together. I was thinking, are you 6 years now at the editor there?
I believe it's 7.
7 years.
7 years now.
Wow. Time flies. It's a lot.
Actually, if you could see that one right there, the Street Trucks Brandywine.
Yep.
That was my very first one. So that was in that's October of 2018.
All right. So yeah, six years, right? Is that where we're at? Yeah. 18 to, it's hard because when you do the math, if you think 18 to 19, 19 to 20, yeah, exactly. You went through COVID, 20 to 21, 21 to 22 to 23 to 24. So we're at 6, but you have that whole time in between too. So it's jamming out pretty good. Well, I don't see you stopping. You've got a lot of different books behind you. Obviously we know some of those guys that are putting in the work for you, some great editors, some great guys that are, shooting for you, writing for you. For the audience, check out the latest issue, Sergeant Square. The truck's going to become available. You might see it around, and get now you can go download Motortopia and you can read all about it. Are you going to see a lot of that where you push a lot of this content when you talk about those three different releases, press releases on the daily? Are you taking a lot of that, all those books, and you're able to just take all that content and put it back out to the world? Is that kind of what the theme is?
Yeah, exactly. And so our content flow is print, then digital, and then social. And then we have every brand's got a weekly newsletter. So it'll go out newsletter. And then after everything is done, it ends up on Motortopia. So now we're trying to hit everybody wherever they're at. And we're not trying to say, you know, print is the best thing in the world, you need to go buy a magazine, or our websites are the baddest things out there, you need to go to our website. We want to say, what do you like? What is your media of choice? Well, we want to be there, and we want to make a good product for that. We're not trying to go out there and say we're the best at everything we do, but we make really good, high quality products. We make solid content that we've been doing it for 20, 30 years. Drive magazine's almost 30 years old, and just making real solid, good, clean quality content that you can, depend on, essentially.
Well, I think the big thing too, and we'll take you out with this, is really there's an evolution, and we've seen it since you've been the editor and you've been there 6 years. If you look back when you replaced Kevin Aguilar, who's with Foolish Media, who's built an amazing brand. When you look at what they've done, he's done, and then you look at what you've done in the 6 years, it's been a massive evolution from, hey, I'm not just making two books, I'm adding books. Yep. I'm adding more content, and now I've got to make the cycle into social media. Sorry, I need some water. Social media, and then the internet and the web and all the different entities that people are getting content. And you're saying, hey, we know you're going to get content different ways, not just print. We just want to be there for your content. Be on your list of content that you're going to want to grab.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we love this industry. All the guys, all of our editors, they're just as passionate as I am about this industry. And they love these trucks and they love these audience. And they just want to show, whether it's people that aren't involved with our industry or are involved with our industry or don't even know that they should be involved, because there's a lot of guys around the country that just, they haven't been influenced by it at all. Whether it's the young kid walking through the grocery store for the first time, seeing a magazine on the rack for the very first time, which is what we notice is a lot of these advertisers' very first chance to influence some of this younger generation, which is why magazines are still a valid thing. Because if your algorithm on social isn't geared towards that, you're not going to get fed it. So if that young 12, 13-year-old kid's walking through the store, he's not paying attention to his mom, and he walks through a magazine rack and he sees this Slam C10 on the cover, that's going to be his very first chance of getting, that addiction, essentially. And then he's going to start flipping through it. He's going to see some of these brands, and then bam, we got a whole new person that's part of our team, essentially.
Yeah. Bringing it all together. And anytime we can bring these younger kids, the youth in, and honestly, I see people that, I kind of use the litmus of the guys I work with, 200 and some firefighters that, they're in their 40s, their 50s, and they always wanted a truck, a build or something like that. And they're getting into it right now as well. So even though we're chasing the younger crowd, we hope that the young kids will stay into it. It's not bad to go out and get somebody who's like, hey, I always wanted that truck. And It's like, hey, make that happen. It's almost like you could be a fun tech of the senior guy, right? I mean, even if you're, 50, and you and I aren't that far off in age either, but you're like, well, I'm not senior. But when you think about an 18 to 25-year-old, and we have, guys who, we just had a guy retire the other day, probably within the last few months, and he has completely, he is all in on a 68 C10, and he is fastly approaching 60. And it's like, hey, this is my first build. I've done lots of wrenching in my life, but I want to build this truck, and he is completely building it. So it's cool to think that it's like, you don't have to be a spring chicken. You can, get your shit together, get out there. The cool thing is hopefully if you got a little bit of money, and, if you're kids are off to college or whatnot, and you're like, yeah, I always wanted to build this, then you can. And you can utilize a lot of the parts, the products, the power of all the things that you've talked about, from Sergeant Square to Motortopia. And, whether it's the pod, whether it's, an app, whether it's social media, whether it's print, there's no shortage of entities for people to make that build happen.
Yeah, totally. And you nailed it, because like when we're out at events or we're at a SEMA or whatever, and we have people come up to us all the time, saying, we love what you guys do, we love the products, we love the industry, we're just getting into it or whatever. It's one thing to have like a 20 something or a younger guy come up. We think that's great. We love the fact. But when we have a newer, older guy, like a new to the industry, older guy, come up to us and say, I'm just getting into this, I love what you guys do, I really look up to, all of this stuff, and I can't wait to get more knowledge and start wrenching on it myself. Like, that's impactful, because these are the guys, we've always looked up to people older than us all the time. And then when you start having people either our age now, because we're getting older, or older than us, start coming up to us and saying, hey, I've seen what you guys do, I love what you do, and I'm starting to wrench on something. That's like, it's pretty cool to hear and to see. I love that.
And I think the number one thing, whether you're 18 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 45, it doesn't matter, is confidence and knowing that you can do it. And even like I said, I talked to these guys, a buddy of mine who just picked up another 68. He's been asked, I use him a lot on the pod from the perspective of, he's asked me for over 10 years, I want to get a truck. And now he's intimidated by it. And I just laugh and I'm like, bro, you got to get that out of your head. Let me get you more confident in that you can do it. And that's the big thing, is there should be a confidence corner where it's like, here's what you can do. Here's the, tell, show, do type thing. And you can go on the forum, you can go on social media. There's plenty of outlets out there to build that confidence, and just know you're going to have issues that go on throughout the course of a build. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of solutions that are also out there throughout that trials and tribulations. Every fitting's not going to fit perfect. Everything's not going to always line up exactly perfect. But you can build a damn truck out of a catalog. You guys almost did, besides the cab. And so it's like, you need to know that there's confidence in there, and there's shops, and yeah, you might have to spend some money, but you can figure it out. And there's a lot of entity out there to, resources, if you will, to make that happen.
Yeah, totally. And I've said it before, like, it's one thing to buy a truck and own it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, fun thing to do. Take a truck to a show, even if you just do a few little things on it. But the journey of resto modding or restoring and modifying a truck yourself, or not even necessarily yourself, but making all the choices, hiring all the people, going through the whole process, at the end of that, and then you start bringing it out to shows, there's so much more to that than I mean, we've all heard the saying, bad stuff's not built, it's bought. But I mean, bad stuff's not bought, it's built. But there's so much to it. And there's so much love to that, sentimental love to that truck, after you've really taken the time to take the journey with it, and it doesn't, I mean, 2 years sounds like a long time, but in all reality, 2 years isn't that long. You build a truck after 2 years, you're enjoying it for the next 5 to 10 years. And generally, after you build one, you realize that you can build the next one quicker and faster and sometimes cheaper.
And you're going to learn, just like anything, crawl, walk, run. You're going to have all kinds of things that you're going to be like, oh, last time I did this and I bled the brakes this way and I did this and I did this. And you're going to learn, and to me, it's revigorating in that, hey, if you're an older guy, you dive in and you learn some things. It's probably good for that muscle memory, and it's good to get out there. It's therapeutic for sure. So congrats on crazy to think that this is 25 years for Street. I'll have to do a side-by-side with issue 1, magazine 1, and then this one, to think that it's $299, which is crazy. That too bad you almost couldn't sneak in another mag in there to make it the 300. And another thing that's pretty crazy is September for me will be 10 years, and I think I can hit episode 300 right on the anniversary as well. So we're kind of right there now. Granted, 25 and 10. And then the other thing is, you still got ODB putting his little words out there, and then amazingly enough, you still have Trosley, getting that cartoon every month. The guy is a legend.
Yeah. I love that, man. It's so fun interacting with him and seeing his drawings, what comes out of his head. And that's another thing. We don't give him a lick of influence. He just spits out three cartoons every 3 months. And I mean, they're always winners too. And they're so funny. I love the couples ones. Like there's what I don't know which one's in this.
Oh, for sure. The married, and like he always does the married one, and you got to ask your wife's permission. And
Yeah,
the guy's
I
eating
love it.
bologna, and she's eating
Yeah.
bologna because he needs truck money. And yeah, and that's I had him on the pod, and that's definitely
Oh,
his
really?
his wife's influence. He runs a lot of stuff by her, and I think he gets some insightfulness from her to think that I mean, God, I feel like he's got to be close to 80 now. I should get him back on. Love hearing his stories, and again, his passion is just like you and I. It runs deep, and that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
Okay, Sergeant Square, we're wrapping it up. Get it the hottest, the latest, the greatest Street Trucks August of 2024. If you don't subscribe, you can go over to like not Bookman's, but what is it? What's the big bookstore now?
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble. Check it out there and get the latest and greatest. And congrats on 25 years of this amazing magazine. And to think, back. Street was just back in the day, 99, and it's just crazy to think that those first magazines. So we appreciate your time, Chris.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Congrats on the 10 years too, and appreciate you guys having us on again.
Tell Nicole I said hi, and then that slapdick freaking Stafford, that he's a machine. Love what he does. I assume we'll see all you guys at SEMA.
1000%. Yep.
Okay, awesome. I'll take you out. I'll come by. Appreciate your time. Take care.
Thanks, man.
Rad stuff, right? Do me a favor, check out mission_22 on IG. The cause, Mission 22. The truck, Sergeant Square. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks again. Late.